Well, welcome to Wednesday of Passion Week. What you're about to hear is going to be astonishing. Sunday, the religious leaders were unhinged over the Palm Sunday celebration. They're starting to plot a way to kill Jesus. To kill Jesus. I know that's an extreme measure, especially for a group of religious people. People who would say they follow God, people who are subject to the command of thou shalt not murder. Yes, the religious guys were filled with such hatred for Jesus that they wanted to kill him. Not just Jesus, but they also wanted to kill Lazarus because he was a walking testimony of Jesus' miraculous power. On Monday, Jesus went to the temple, caused quite a stir, if you remember. The religious leaders are now raging in their anger against Jesus. Tuesday, Jesus spoke to the crowd, and most of his words were pretty extreme and very pointed towards the religious leaders, the Pharisees, and the teachers of the law. Today will be a day of commitment. It will be a day that sets into motion a direction and a destiny that will not and cannot be turned from. Let's start with Mark 14, 1 and 2. It says, "It was now 2 days before Passover and the festival of unleavened bread. The leading priests and the teachers of religious law were still looking for an opportunity to capture Jesus secretly and kill him. But not during the Passover celebration. They agreed, or the people may riot." Talk about a conspiracy. The religious leaders are on a mission. Kill Jesus. Now, there's a problem with the leading priest's plan. God has determined that the Passover lamb must be sacrificed on Friday. The priests are going to be overridden as they do not want this happening during the Passover celebration. What they haven't yet figured out is they're just along for the ride. God is now going to press the issue, and the lamb will be slain on the altar at Passover. In Matthew 26:2, Jesus was speaking to his disciples, and he said, "As you know, Passover begins in 2 days, and the Son of Man will be handed over to be crucified." Yes, the religious leaders will be guilty of the murder of God's Son, but it will work together for the good of those who love the Lord. Let's check out the Wednesday evening prayer and study meeting at Caiaphas' house. In Matthew 26, 3 through 4, it says, "At that time the leading priests and elders were meeting at the residence of Caiaphas, the high priest, plotting how to capture Jesus secretly and kill him." Let's read that one more time, because these are the religious guys that have joined together for their Wednesday evening service. At that same time, the leading priests and elders were meeting at the residence of Caiaphas, the high priest, plotting how to capture Jesus and in secret, and kill him. In our passages today, we see that those in power really desire to stay in power. They're still a bit worried about Jesus and his followers, though. So they meet at Caiaphas' house on Wednesday evening to discuss how they're going to eliminate their opposition. There must be something we can use. These guys are trying to come up with anything, something that we can use to get this guy, Jesus. There has to be some way to get the people to turn against him. Maybe we can build off yesterday's speech and get people to understand that they don't really want things to change. What Jesus is bringing forth will disturb the status quo. It will destroy the traditions. It will undermine the rituals. Our customs will no longer be able to hold our people together. Jesus is dangerous and must be stopped. About that time, much to the surprise of Caiaphas and the rest of his Wednesday evening gathering, Judas, one of Jesus' disciples, enters the house with a plan of his own. In Matthew 26:14 through 16, it says, "Then Judas Iscariot, one of the 12 disciples, went to the leading priests and asked, 'How much will you pay me to betray Jesus to you?' And they gave him 30 pieces of silver. From that time on, Judas began looking for an opportunity to betray Jesus." One of the king's own men, frustrated with the way things were going, decides to flip and help the guys who want Jesus destroyed. Somebody from the inner circle, close to Jesus, has been with him for the last 3.5 years, has been working with the rest of the disciples, has had enough. He doesn't like what's going on. He doesn't like the direction that this is headed. He is determined to change things. There are many theories as to why Judas does this. They don't really matter at this moment. Caiaphas and his band of religious leaders now have exactly what they need: a disgruntled disciple ready to sell off his master for a fistful of coins. I told you at the beginning of this message that you were going to be astonished by what you heard today. Wednesday, midweek, has got to be one of the darkest days so far. We know that it gets a little worse, but for right now, it's pretty amazing. Astonishing is the word for it. For the turn of events, religious guys wanting to kill, inner circle followers, disciples of Jesus, ready to betray. That's a dark moment. Really dark moment. I'll be back tomorrow to see what plays out on Thursday.